All right, iron 3 chlorate, that's an ionic compound. Iron has multiple charges, so we'll give you that in Roman numerals. Chlorate is a polyatomic ion. Crisscross those numerical values on the charges. That 3 needs to go outside the parentheses, and that's answer to number 1. So number 2, potassium carbonate, that's another ionic compound. Right? Potassium is an alkali metal, so it has a 1 positive charge. Carbonate is a polyatomic ion with a 2 negative charge. I'm going to crisscross those numbers. Right? And you don't need parentheses around this polyatomic ion because there's only one of them. All right, number 3, sodium phosphate, another ionic compound with a polyatomic ion. All right, where were we? Sodium is, this is a ionic compound. Sodium is a alkali metal with a 1 positive charge. Phosphate is a polyatomic ion, PO4, with a 3 negative charge. Let's crisscross these numbers. And you don't need parentheses around that polyatomic ion because there's only one of them. All right, what color? All right, this is a molecular compound, so we're going to use the prefixes. The first name doesn't have a prefix, so that's going to be 1. So phosphorus is going to have a subscript of 1, and we don't write 1s. Tri means 3. So that's all we need to do for those. All right, where are we? Let's do number 5, sodium iodide. That's an ionic compound. Notice the IDE ending, so that's just the elemental ion. Anion, sodium is Na. Iodine is I, so plus and a negative, so they're going to cancel out. All right, there's your formula for sodium iodide. All right, what color? Let's go back to red. All right, stannous chloride. We're not going to give you this this old convention of naming. So there's stannous is the Greek word for tin, and so we'll give you the charge. So this is tin 2. By the way, OUS means it's the lower charge of the 2 or of the multiple charges. So that's going to be tin 2. The symbol is SN. And chloride, notice the IDE ending. So not always, but usually that's your elemental ion. So that's chlorine is a halogen. It's a 1 negative charge. Let's crisscross these numbers. And there's your formula for stannous chloride. Okay. Calcium bromide, that's another ionic compound. IDE, that's not a polyatomic ion. That's just another straightforward cation and anion. So calcium is an alkaline earth metal, 2 positive charge. Bromine is a halogen, 1 negative charge. Crisscross those numbers. And there you go. All right. Let's see. Sulfur hexafluoride. So when you have a prefix like that, it makes it easy to figure out it's a molecular compound. So sulfur doesn't have a prefix, so that just means it's going to be 1. Fluoride, the IDE ending tells you it's fluorine. So it's fluorine. Hexa means 6. So there's your formula for sulfur hexafluoride. Okay. All right, number 9, iron 3 oxide. Iron is a transition metal with multiple charges, so we're going to give you that in Roman numerals. That's a 3 positive charge. Oxide group, 16 elements. ID tells you it's an element. That's a 2 negative charge. Let's crisscross those numbers. So we get Fe2O3, iron oxide. All right, number 10, calcium sulfide. Another ionic compound. These are two elements. Calcium, 2 positive. It's in the second group. Sulfide is sulfur. That's 2 negative. Crisscross, they're going to cancel out. All right, so remember, ionic compounds, you need to reduce when you can to the lowest whole number ratio. All right, number 11, potassium hypochlorite. Hypochlorite is a polyatomic ion, so we're going to need our charges. Hypochlorite is ClO minus. They're going to cancel out if you crisscross the charges, so simply KClO, and there's your answer. All right, number 12, moving right along, phosphorus trichloride. You see these are two nonmetals. You also get that clue that there's a prefix there, so that's a molecular compound. Phosphorus doesn't have a prefix. All right, so that's mono, or just one. Chloride is chlorine. The IDE tells you it's chlorine, and there's 3 of them. Tri means 3, so there's your formula for, let me do that a little better. All right. Moving on. Number 13. Aluminum nitride. ID, that's an element. Aluminum is group 13. It's a 3 positive charge. Nitride is nitrogen, that's a 3 negative charge. Crisscross, they're going to cancel out. It's ALN. Now be careful, uppercase, lowercase. That's going to help determine, make your answers clear. So you will lose points on your test if you make all your symbols caps or lowercase. So just be aware of that. All right, there's two nonmetals, phosphorus and sulfur. Also, you see prefixes. All right, this is going to be your covalent bond or your molecular compound. Phosphorus, tetra, means 4. Sulfur, sulfide is sulfur, and deca is 10. So now don't reduce. Do not reduce on these molecular compounds because tetra and deca are there for a purpose. If they wanted you to reduce, they wouldn't use those specific prefixes. All right, lithium oxide, that's another ionic compound. Lithium is in the first group, so it's 1 positive charge. Oxide is 2 negative. Crisscross. There's your answer for lithium oxide. Lithium carbonate. Switch colors. All right, carbonate, 8. That's a polyatomic ion with oxygen. So we're going to need to crisscross these charges. Lithium is an alkaline metal, 1 positive charge. Carbonate is CO3 with a 2 negative charge. Crisscross these charges. There we go. All right, nitrogen, oxygen, they're both nonmetals. This is a molecular compound. You also notice the prefixes there. So the prefixes will tell you what the subscripts are. Again, don't reduce. Don't reduce. Okay, copper 2 sulfide. Copper is a transition metal, has multiple charges, so we'll give you the charge in Roman numerals. Sulfide, IDE, typically that's an element. That's sulfur, 2 negative charge. They're going to crisscross and cancel out. In other words, Cu2, S2 is going to reduce to Cu2S. All right, copper 2 iodide. That's a very similar. Copper 2 positive charge. Iodine is a halogen. It's a 1 negative charge. Crisscross these. There's your answer. All right, potassium nitride, those are just 2 elements. It's another ionic compound. Potassium has a 1 positive charge. Nitrogen has a 3 negative charge. Crisscross those numbers. There's your answer. Barium sulfide, another ionic compound with 2 elements. Barium. Let me pick a different color or move this away from that other blue. Just do it down here. All right, barium is an alkali earth metal, 2 positive charge. Sulfide is sulfur, 2 negative charge. They're going to cancel out. There it is. All right, nitrogen, oxygen, again, 2 nonmetals. We're going to use the prefixes. That is N2. Mono means 1. Oh, okay. Calcium nitride, another ionic compound with 2 elements. Calcium, alkaline earth metal, 2 positive. Nitride is the IDE, again tells you it's an element, most likely. Nitrogen has a 3 negative charge. Crisscross those numbers. There we go. Calcium nitrate. Now, notice that ends in ate or ite. That's a polyatomic ion with an oxygen. So let's get the charges. Calcium has a 2 positive charge. It's in the second group. All right, nitrate is NO3 with a 1 negative charge. We're going to crisscross this. You're going to notice the polyatomic ion is going to have multiple of them, so we need parentheses. Otherwise, it's going to look like 32 oxygens. So we need to put this 2 outside the parentheses. All right, so there's our answer for calcium nitrate. All right, potassium. All right, permanganate. All right, so there's another polyatomic ion. So potassium is alkali metal, so group 1. And then permanganate is MnO4 with a 1 negative charge. Those charges are going to cancel out when you crisscross them. All right, got to be careful with these uppercase and lowercase answers. There you go. Let's keep going. 26. All right, phosphorus and oxygen, 2 nonmetals. That's a molecular compound. So we're just going to use the prefixes. Di means 2. Tri means 3. Potassium sulfide. It's an ionic compound. Potassium has a 1 positive charge. Sulfur has a 2 negative charge. Crisscross. There we go. Sulfate is a polyatomic ion, so that is not an element. All right, sulfate is SO4, 2 negative. So let's crisscross these charges. There it is. Sodium hypochlorite. Hypochlorite. All right, hypo means 1 less than ite. Sodium, group 1, 1 positive charge. Hypochlorite is ClO negative. Those charges are going to cancel out. There it is. Phosphorus, nonmetal. Fluorine, nonmetal. Use the prefixes. Phosphorus doesn't have one, so it's just going to be 1 as a subscript. We don't write ones. Fluoride, IDE, that's just fluorine. Penta means 5. There it is. Carbon disulfide, again, 2 nonmetals. Use the prefixes. Di means 2. There it is. Calcium iodide. Calcium is a metal and a nonmetal ionic compound. We need charges. Crisscross those charges. All right, phosphorus, sulfur, 2 nonmetals. Use the prefixes. Tetra means 4. Sulfide is sulfur. Tri means 3. Okay, we don't reduce. We can't reduce, but even if you could, you wouldn't. All right, tin has, you can see that tin has multiple charges here. Tin, this one has a 2 positive charge. Fluorine is a halogen, has a 1 negative charge. Crisscross that. There we go. Bell's about to ring, so I'll do part 2 in a separate video.